Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing this morning? I hope well. I hope that this beautiful sunny day here in November, it's that cool little breeze in the air, but again, the sun is shining and every day is an opportunity. Every day is a blank slate. You have a blank page that you can do, and you can choose to do anything you want. So that is truly God's gift to us, this free will that we can do anything we want with our time. Oops, hang on, that I'm going to share. Hold on one second. So that is truly hang on one second here. Free will that we can do anything we want. You know, this happens every morning on morning coffee for the soul. I want to do a sharing, and okay, it's all shared. Thank you very much for your patience. So we have Chris is here already, and we have Mrs. Liz, buenos dias, and Chris, good morning. So we have good people already coming in. So today is the last day, 12 weeks. 12 weeks we've been talking about this process of Alcoholics Anonymous, how going through this process can free us, in the case of Alcoholics Anonymous, from alcoholism. But we have been taking this into depression and anxiety. And now 12 weeks have passed, 3 months. What have we done in 3 months? Have we met anybody new? Have we had a reason to say, yes, something useful. I was useful to the world for one day or for 1 minute. 12 weeks is something that we can look back, because it's a substantial amount of time, and we can say, I did something good for myself. I think you all have, because everybody has been here some Sundays. Some people have been here every Sunday, and this is already doing something for ourselves. Every time that we take time out of our day or out of our lives and we decide to listen or to pursue something good for our soul, hey, we got to pat ourselves on the shoulder, on our back, and say, hey, I'm proud of myself. 12th step says exactly this, and this is from the book of the Alcoholics Anonymous. It says, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these 12 of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Good morning, Teresa. I see you here too. So what does that mean? For 11 weeks, we have learned everything from admitting our problems. In the case of depression, in the case of anxiety, depression is not just a normal sadness. Anxiety is not just a normal nervousness. It's much more than that. And unless we admit that something is so overwhelmingly taking our normal peaceful selves, then we can never deal with that. So you have to name what it is. And we know in psychology, every time that you give something a name, we study that in psychology, that it becomes a little more attached to you. When you give a pet a name, when you give something a name, it takes more of an identity, and you become even more responsible for that. So when I say that I am suffering from depression, or I am suffering from anxiety, or I am an alcoholic, or whatever it may be, and perhaps you've had such difficult naming it. And I'm not into titles. I'm not saying that I care much for people who say, I'm a doctor, I have a doctorate, I am a coordinator, or that doesn't mean anything to me. But when we admit to ourselves what we are, or whatever it is that troubles us, then we can tackle that. So we have Rihanna here, we have Marsha Lucas. Good morning to you guys coming in too. So when I say I'm going through depression, I am depressed. Good, because now you can do something about it. But if you keep just lingering on and pretending, then you can't deal with it. So that's the very first step of AA, naming it. So all these 11 weeks, you have to name what it is that doesn't work in your life. Perhaps it's not alcoholism. Perhaps it's anger issues. Perhaps it's I always call the poor me syndrome, the person that is always a victim. And we have to call what it is. Sometimes I'm the one that's always putting myself in a place of a victim. I'm not saying that we do this consciously most of the time, but until we bring this to consciousness And to acceptance, then we'll always be a victim, or we'll always be the angry person that's angry at everything, or we'll always be some kind of a pseudo titled person that you really truly know you're not that, but you have to use a title to make yourself believe that. So first step of AA, admit your problem. And that's great. And then through the steps, we learn what? When I have a problem that seems so much bigger, I have to rely on a higher power to help me, because I myself am not able to do it. I'm not able to free myself from that problem. So the first thing I have to do is own the problem. Then understand that this problem, it's insanity to try to control something that is above your means by yourself. Then we call God into it. We call the spiritual beings, our mentors, our angels, really, to help us. So we open ourselves up to the possibility that there's something higher, in our case as spiritists, God, but whatever it may be, even AA itself could be the God. And then I accept to surrender my problem and do something about it. I can't just surrender. How many people say, I will give this problem to God so God can solve it? And then the person sits down, crosses their arms, and waits for God to come down from heavens and solve our problems. And how God works is very different. He works with activities. He puts the right people, he puts the right tools in your life so you can solve your problem with his wish and his grace. So once we open our eyes, we listen, and we take steps. And then on AA steps, we also talked about we have to take inventory of what doesn't work in us. We have to take inventory of the wrongful things we have done in the past. We have to apologize, a sincere apology, and a true commitment to heal, to repair all the things that we have done wrong. In the case of AA, as you were an alcoholic, you have hurt many people. And until you own that and you truly show the time has come for me to repair, to make amends. In the case of someone with depression, we have to see what possibly has led us into this state. Is it time to make amends? Is anguish, is guilt, is anything lingering in my heart that is making me remain in this position? In the case of anxiety, am I trying to control something? Am I trying to control all others? Am I so afraid that I have let go of my faith? And now I'm afraid of everything. I'm so anxious that I need to control. So we really have to look, and we have to apologize for those who have, we have lost our temper for anything we have done. So AA, in all the 12 steps, and all the 11 steps prior to today, you can't just pick 2 steps to be good at. So on the 12th step, we come to a point where we understand each step. We all have been here on the Kardec radio. We have to master all of them. We have to really look at all the different steps and say, I need to invest myself because I want to be light. I want to be free from all that holds me down. And we know that the Spirit's book, Kardec is so smart in asking the questions. And the Spirits are amazing in answering the questions on what we should do to progress, to free ourselves from this. One of the answers, even related to obsessive spirits from evilness, let's use that word, is really work and goodness. Once you're working in charity, once you are doing something good for others, that is the best way to prevent any kind of illness, any kind of evilness, any kind of obsessors that are trying to influence you. And the 12th step says exactly that. You have learned all these steps. You know what to do. As spiritists, we know the gospel of Jesus Christ. Perhaps we haven't understood it yet, but we know a little bit about what God's message is and what Jesus came to really portray that message. So now it's time to act it. Now it's time to pass it on to others. Now it's time for you to yell to the world how the good news have changed your life. How, in the case of Alcoholics Anonymous, how this group of people who want nothing more than free themselves from a vice, and how once on step 12, they are now in a position to help those who are coming in. Now in life, many times we reach some kind of an apex of ending some type of a problem. But then another problem begins because we neglect to help others who are coming in with that problem in our lives. Now, God gives us experience and grace and healing our wounds so we can help those who have those problems and wounds as well. See, now you have the experience, my friends. Perhaps we're not free from our depression, anxiety, alcoholism, but we have to really invest in each of these steps. I know at the center that I participate, we have this group, and people sit down, we all sit down in a circle, and it's truly the best therapy there is because we base it on the gospel of Jesus, and we allow people to talk about their troubles. And many people, many newcomers see some people that are so well, and they ask, they say, well, you don't appear to have any problems. You appear to be in good spirits and happy. Why do you take part of this group? And the beautiful thing is everyone who's in the group answers the same way. Because one day I was just like you. I walked into this group, I walked up these stairs, and I was thinking of perhaps ending my life. And my problems were so overwhelming that I didn't have anybody I could just cry with and just be myself. I couldn't take that mask that society expected from me. And I walked in here and I received a welcome. I received a hug. I received hope. I received words of wisdom, of love. And today I've reached that point where I'm at the position of doing that for those who are climbing those steps. You see, that's the most beautiful thing we can do in the world is when we have reached the place of peace with a certain situation, we have to pay it forward. We have to pass it on to others. I'm here doing maybe a little part of it. I'm trying to, and I think there's no such thing as trying. We just do it. Those who want to change the world will change it. Those who want to make a difference. And either Mother Teresa, when they asked her, wow, what you do is like drop in the ocean. And she would say, yes, but at least it's one drop. So think about it. If all of us were little drops in the ocean to do something, to pay it forward, and maybe it's not these 12 steps. Maybe it's something that you have overcome in your life. Maybe you had anger issues before. Maybe you had excessive guilt. But maybe today you have learned. Help those who haven't reached you. Don't judge them. Just help them. And that's what AA is here. That is what the whole 12 steps is all about. We struggle with our problems and we move and we keep going with them. But we have to try to solve them. And in the process of helping others, we also help ourselves. It's very dangerous when we have reached a peak of being well and then leave the group. On the contrary, maybe you can be a speaker at AA, right? But some people say, I can't be a speaker. It's not my personality. Well, maybe you can be the person who orders coffee and cake. And that is just as important because a group doesn't work with just, in Spiritism, we sometimes give too much credit to the lecturers. Sometimes people believe that, oh, you're a lecturer, then you must be more enlightened. Nonsense. The person that is there at the center, who before everybody came in, cleaned the center, made it all beautiful, poured the water into the little cups. You never know if that person is the most wise and enlightened person of them all. So we have to pay attention because in a group of love, every single part is just as important. So if you don't feel that, oh, Deborah, I can't do a morning coffee for the soul like you do on speaking to the public, that's okay. Can you do anything? Can you do something? Can you call a friend now and say, I've heard of these 12 steps and I think it's amazing and I'll go with you. I'll go to the meeting with you. you will do much more than I have, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know how many people I have perhaps touched a little bit, but you can certainly touch someone with whatever knowledge and wisdom these 12 steps have brought up to you. Remember, my friends, there's no better thing in the world than to do good. There is no this feeling. Some people call it flow. I call it. It's this thing that when you feel, when you do good for someone, there is no name for it. I mean, it's this feeling that you can't put your finger on what you can call it. That is what Jesus says, you don't know my peace. My kingdom is not of this world. Those are little fragments of what Jesus is talking about. Can you imagine feeling this flow, this thing, whatever you want to call, when you do something good and you feel that all the time? That is our purpose. That is when we reach this complete state of perfection. So the more we practice this, the more we practice doing good and having that feeling of not telling anyone, but when you know that you have done something good, that little feeling is this thing that is truly what God tried to tell us, what Jesus, tried to tell us about peace, his happiness, his kingdom. So I'm here ending this morning coffee for the soul, this 12th step. Don't be afraid to say you're a spiritist. Give the good news. Just as an alcoholic should not be afraid to say, I am an alcoholic, I have a problem, I am going to solve my problem. I surrender myself to God, to God's will, and I'm going to do my part. And when he is no longer tied to his vice, he will bring others into the group to help them. Let's do that as spiritists. Let's not be those spiritists that are afraid to say they're spiritists. Let's say, I am a spiritist. Perhaps you have no knowledge of what it is, but let me, if you wish to know what it's all about, let me explain and bring you into this beautiful community of goodness, this beautiful humanity that is exactly what Spiritism makes us into. So I hope that I have been able to contribute a little bit. You can all give me suggestions now, because we're done with the 12 weeks and we can start next week with something else. And remember, freely give what freely you have received. So AA is a completely non-profit. It does not cost anybody to participate in their meetings. And they move on and continue that message. And so Spiritism. We should never have to pay for the message. And we should, just as we receive the message freely, let's not keep it to ourselves. Let's give it out to the world. How beautiful it is to be free from ourselves and to truly begin to walk this walk of freedom, of enlightenment, of really love. Thank you very much for being here. I see Steve is here as well. Michael's here. Marsha Thomas, Mady Delgado, Matt McCarthy, Marsha Thomas, Tanya Stewart. Good morning, my beloved friend. Good morning, my sweet sister Tanya. Steve saying, next week, the 12 traditions. Oh my goodness, we'll start a whole thing. Steve is saying, Marsha says, thank you, Debora. Was amazing, these 12 steps, and helped me in many ways. Thank you, Marsha. See, this feeling of knowing that something good was done, that's what heals us, you know? So move it forward and tell it to somebody else. Again, I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. And let's keep going. Let's keep going, because that's our job. Thank you.